Welcome back to Deaton Street. I'm Zach. He's Dustin. Today, we're going to talk about the partnership between Apple and OpenAI to bring ChatGPT to iOS 18. But before we get into that, please consider liking and subscribing and commenting on this video. The comments actually help us out, I think, the most because it kind of pushes it with the algorithm. But thank you for doing that or considering that. Now, Dustin, tell us more about this seemingly unlikely but maybe expected partnership.
So way back, I say way back, way on the backside of WWDC, the conference itself, like all the way an hour and 30 minutes in, we had the announcement that Chat-GPT or OpenAI would be partnering with the Apple ecosystem or the iOS systems. With that being said, it's going to work with the Apple Intelligence stuff, with Siri, with various different facets of maneuvering around your systems. So, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool little additive. Like we said before, it's kind of unlikely. We were expecting it because of all the rumors and everything, but that just opens a lot of doors for other apps and stuff in the future. Like, this is only beginning of Apple opening the doors of the ecosystem into letting people in and cooperating, which is really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think unlikely because Apple just seems to go at it alone with these type of things in the past, especially something as large as like an AI model or a large language model. And it does seem like Apple does have their own large language model, but it feels like maybe it's not as complex or not able to do more complicated prompts. And so they are pushing a lot of those off into the cloud. And then if it gets more complicated than what the cloud can handle, they're pushing it out to ChatGPT. So when you interact with iOS 18 and have it prompt, whether it be the kind of, I don't know what we're calling it, I want to say the Grammarly knockoff thing that they're doing, or using Siri, asking Siri questions, you're going to have three ways for that AI prompt to be accomplished. So the first and the one that they want you to use the most, or the one that they're hoping that the device can handle the most, is on device. So it doesn't get sent off anywhere. You don't have to wait for it to go talk to the cloud, ask a question to the servers, and bring it back. It's just all on device, hopefully super quick. Second way is it's Apple's own segmented cloud that they're going to encrypt in a way to where Apple can't really see what the prompts are, can't see your data. That's the second way. I'd say like the mid-tier of prompts. And then if the complication of the prompt gets beyond that tier, they're going to give you the option to send it off to ChatGPT. And I say the option because from the demos that we've seen so far, it looks like every time that happens, there's going to be a prompt that jumps up on your device. And I saw it's like a notification type prompt that you actually have to click. I'm hoping that it's like a question, because I would rather just talk with my device rather than pick it up. But with these different ways of Apple accomplishing AI, what are you thinking? Like, does this mean that maybe Apple didn't want to reinvent the wheel, or that they weren't comfortable with their LLM, or why do you think they did this?
I don't know. It's a little weird for Apple. Like we said before, they're usually to themselves and they like their own product. It could be, and this is just a theory for me, it could be that Apple sees the speed at which people are releasing stuff and coupling that with the antitrust law or whatever that's going on,
right,
or that has happened or whatever, they're having to open the doors. So that allowed them to get people like ChatGPT and stuff to partner with and to utilize their services without having to develop their own thing quicker. So we wouldn't have had to wait an extra 2 years for Apple's large action model or whatever.
Large language,
Large language model. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that. The fact that for a tech company, eventually you do get too many balls up in the air. It's difficult to
Mm-hmm.
juggle everything. We saw this happen with Apple when they canned Apple Car, which is something they worked for years on and spent a lot of money on, and then ended up
Mm-hmm.
not fully developing it into a product. It would make sense that instead of putting the same amount of resources that OpenAI is putting into developing ChatGPT, just
Mm-hmm.
to outsource that a little bit. Because it does take a lot of energy to train those models, especially in the beginning. And it also takes a lot of work to get it to
Yeah.
where it is right there. And maybe they didn't want to develop their own internal OpenAI inside of
Well,
Apple.
I mean, it could have also been, I don't know, I haven't done too much research into it, but it could be also that OpenAI is maybe struck a deal with them to train ChatGPT with the silicon processing and stuff, right?
I doubt it, because Apple is so protective over user data. And so
True.
the thing that these models are using to train on is data, which is why you see
Mm-hmm.
um, the deal that was just struck, I think, with Reddit. Reddit is now going to allow ChatGPT to use user data to
Oh,
train.
wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's just so against everything that Apple stands for. So I can never see that
Yeah.
happening. But yeah, I think that it does allow Apple to kind of stay out of all of that too.
Mm-hmm.
So the last thing is, it was rumored, it was alluded to in the announcement that there may be other large language models or models coming to
Mm-hmm.
iOS 18 eventually. I think that's Gemini, and I think it happens. I'm still pretty confident, based on the articles I've read, some of the rumors that are floating around, that Apple is still trying to get a deal done with Google. Do you think that's just overkill? Do you think that ChatGPT is enough, or do you think that the more the better?
I like having variety and choice with a lot of my different things. Um, I think it definitely is possible, only because the door has already been opened, or they've had to open the door.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only logical for them to just say, okay, cool. We have, GPT. We're going to have to get Gemini for those that want to use it. The door's open now. We're going to have to do that. But I mean, Apple really doesn't have to at the same time,
Yeah.
you know? Uh, will they? Most likely. Do they have to? No. You know?
Yeah, I think that they just want to give users options, which is
Mm-hmm.
also unlike Apple right now, or
Mm-hmm.
in the past. I mean, we haven't even talked about the upgrades to iOS, which I'm sure we'll talk about in Friday's video, of how
Yeah.
they're finally letting you move around stuff and change the color of apps. But this is another this is another step in that direction of like allowing users to have options when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
what AI model they're using. I personally would love it if they would come up with a system to where the internals of iOS are deciding what prompts to give Gemini, that Gemini is really good at, and what prompts to give
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT. But we were talking over before we started recording. I think that you pointed out what's probably going to happen, which is
Yeah, they'll probably make it to where you can select a default
yeah,
option, right? So you got your browsers, Safari or Chrome. You're
search
going to set your
engines. Yeah,
search engines and everything. I'm going to set my default to Chrome or Safari. You're probably going to be able to set a default AI, as GPT or Gemini to do those secondary tasks. So that's what I think will happen. I mean, I do like where you were coming with it, is having the option to set the defaults. What was the other thing you were saying?
just having all three options, basically. Like I would love, and this is pie in the sky stuff. I don't think
Yeah.
this will happen. I asked too much, but just one option of like setting option being like, just use the best. Whatever you
Yeah.
think that Gemini is best for, or ChatGPT is best for, go ahead and use it. Don't even ask me, is what I would like.
Hmm.
Um, and then different ones like use the best but ask me, that type of, like, just lots of options like that, or just default always to use ChatGPT, default to always use Gemini. So
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get that many options because it's Google, or it's Apple. But
yeah, you got Apple, and then you really only have the two. They're definitely not going to put Microsoft on there.
oh no, oh no, 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 no,
Absolutely
no, no,
not.
no.
If you want that, you
No.
go get a Windows
I
PC,
also
you
think
know?
Copilot out of all of them is probably the worst. Has the worst rap right
Yeah.
now, at least.
Yeah. Well, and then of course that's what they kind of spoke against essentially is like everything that
The
was
privacy features.
the privacy features, all of that, they kind of dogged on all of that during the conference. So I don't see that happening. Gemini and GPT, that's probably where we'll be, but
Yeah. So that's why Apple's decided to do this, I think, and it's just more options and
mhm.
better usability for customers and consumers, which is always good.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let us know what you think down in the comments. Do you like the integration? Do you not like it? Should Siri do all of this herself?
no,
Should that happen?
no.
Or is Apple stepping in the right direction with using, the third parties? But yeah, and we'll see you in the next video on Friday.
Peace.
See ya.